Within my promotional package, I've created a main task and 2 ancillary tasks. My main task was to create a film trailer, and the 2 ancillaries was to make a film magazine and a film poster, all promoting my film, Emily. I believe that the uses of the typical codes and conventions within all of these products have helped create them to be more successful. Codes and conventions are what our audience expects to see within all of my packages. Before I started planning for my promotional package, I did a lot of initial research on real products to help me find all the codes and conventions that my audience would like. Once I gathered all this research, it helps me decide what codes and conventions I would include within all my products. For my first print product, I did the magazine front cover. I decided it would be best for my magazine to conform to more conventions than any other of my products. When I was researching, I found that most film magazines did stick quite close to the conventions of magazines. No matter the genre of the magazine, the largest typeface on the page is always going to be the masthead. They usually use a sans serif font, which is big and bold. This is always at the top of the page, which creates a brand identity for the magazine. I have taken a lot of inspiration from the magazine Turtle Film. They use and develop conventions and codes to help draw their audience in. Many film magazines are like Turtle Film, align their cell lines left and right around the image. This is so that the cell lines do not cover up any of the image, which will help the image stand out. They also use different colours within the cell lines to create buzzwords. This is something that I found out within my audience research. My audience said that they liked how the buzzwords within magazines stood out more to draw them into the magazine more. I've used white as a base colour on the text with a blue accent colour. I've also placed red graphic elements between each cell line to separate them all apart. This is so that more important bits of text will stand out to create more impact. Like a lot of real products, I have also mainly used sans serif fonts. This is because sans serif fonts stand out more on the page because they are much bolder and easy to see from afar. Not all real products have freebies to give away within their magazine. I decided that I would because I believe that my target audience will be more drawn into having something free within the magazine. I placed this information in the pug position to emphasise that there is free tickets to give away, which will widen my audience. All real products have information like the issue number, the date and the barcode, which is included in the price. This is all essential for a magazine as the audience needs to know this information. This will also help my magazine to make it look more realistic. These are very professional things to place onto my magazine. I have followed conventions as I have placed these at the top of my page, along with the barcode and price small at the bottom. These are essential things, yet we don't really want our audience to be seeing them that much. I've conformed to the codes of having a web address and social media links as my audience is now digital natives. I have then developed the conventions as I have added a hashtag and more social media links for the actual film. This is helping promoting the film that I have produced. This will help my target audience explore the interactivity of my products. My audience is predominantly younger and they are all digital natives now. This will appeal to them more. All real products will have these links on their front cover, as this helps the audience connect more to the magazine. Real products usually have their main image in the centre of the page. They are most likely to have a direct mode of address, and to follow the codes this is usually superimposed over the masthead. This is because the magazine already has the brand identity of the masthead, as their readers will already know what the masthead looks like. They are wanting to promote the film more, as the image is much more important on the cover. I have followed these conventions as my model is eye level and has a direct mode of address to the reader. The shot is also a mid shot, which I have then edited to have a more high key lighting so it has a sharper effect on her face. I also edited out the background so that there is a darker, less significant background. This is to help the main image stand out on the page. I also picked out the colour of her red scarf. This is because it is now part of the house style. It has helped the cover stand out more and also stick to the conventions of the thriller genre. The model is from the film Emily. This is an example of the use of star appeal. All magazines use this effect as it will draw the audience in. My header and footer use the same colours as the house style. I also added some graphic element stars. I believe that this has created a more professional look onto my magazine. In the footer, I use stars' names to appeal to my audience of fans. This creates more star appeal to create a wider audience. I have also not only included thrillers films, again to enlarge my audience base. On the lead cell line, I have used the big buzzword exclusive. I've tilted this on an angle and used the buzz colour of the red behind it. This will attract the viewer's attention. A lot of real magazines again use this effect. They do usually use a block colour behind it, again to attract the reader's attention. My lead cell line is very bold, again with a block colour behind. This will immediately tell the audience that this is based on an up and coming film. A lot of real products use a pull quote along with the lead cell line. Where I've decided to use my slogan, I've developed this convention to attract my target audience more. I believe that this has created a brand identity for my package. Also, the use of the film title also ties the package together. Overall, my film magazine cover conforms to a lot of codes and convention of real media products. For my second ancillary task, I had a film poster. I kept the house style and the characters the same as my magazine. This created a clear link between all three of my products. Film posters usually stick quite closely to the conventions as they all have the film title in the biggest font. This is so that the audience knows straight away what film it is. They also have a tagline on the poster too. This will be a catchy tagline that will almost always stick in the audience's head. Important characters are also shown on the poster. This is so the audience will recognise this star, which creates star appeal, which may make them want to go see the film more. This is normally the protagonist or the antagonist, or in some cases both, to clearly show binary opposition. I decided to use this technique within my poster. I have two images of the same character, but yet she is the protagonist and the antagonist. This is to create binary opposition between the two sides of Emily's personality. There is also small details included within the poster. For example, the release date, the institutional logos, the website links, and the institutional information. Challenging these codes and conventions can be quite risky, as the audience or the industry may not understand it, may be confused by the conventions I've challenged. This could draw them away from my poster or magazine or trailer, as I may not be getting the point across that I've decided I wanted to. In terms of my poster, like existing products, I included the film title, tagline, release date, web address, institutional logos, institutional information, and I placed only the important characters on the poster too. The main image on my poster is of a medium close-up of the protagonist from my trailer. She is also eye level and has a direct mode of address to the audience. I made the image quite simplistic so I could edit it on the Photoshop editing software. This is so that I could create the thriller mise-en-scène. I edited mist around her face to create the mysterious look around her. I challenged these conventions as I had something covering up the main imaged face. And for my secondary image, she doesn't have a direct mode of address, which again challenges these conventions. I decided to do this as I wanted to create the binary opposition between the two images. I had the lower image to be smaller and darker and not facing the audience, as this is the side that you would usually hide. Yet I wanted the other image to be much bigger and up in the sky with a much brighter mise-en-scène. Also, I feel like these clouds represent the good inside Emily. Another convention that I developed was that I decided to keep the background as the photo that I took. I did not edit this background out. I wanted the audience to be left with the thought of why is she at the water, and why is she not facing us, and also why is the sea not shown much in the trailer. This helps create enigma for the audience, which might suggest that they would want to go see the film. In terms of framing, I wanted the two images to be in the centre of the rule of thirds, as I wanted the title to be in the centre of the two images, creating the vertical point of the poster. This slightly developed some conventions, as not all film posters have the title in the very centre of the page. Usually this is shown to be at the bottom of the page. The inclusion of production logos and BBFC age rating logos are conventional too. I added these at the bottom two corners of the page, as I didn't want them to stand out too much, but they are necessary to create a more professional and realistic look. Again, I have stuck by the convention of having a block of institutional text at the bottom of the page. I have included this in the correct professional font. I did this because I wanted the text to look as realistic as I could. The top half of my poster is also very conventional. I have aligned all the text to be symmetrical, including the actors and actresses' names, and two quotes made from magazines, along with star ratings. I did this because my audience will see that it has a 5-star rating from 2 different magazines and believe that this is a reliable source for their age range. These lines of graphic stars, I believe, are quite conventional, and it also emphasises the quality of the film. I used a basic sans serif font for the text at the top of this poster, as the simplicity will catch the audience's eyes, as this section of the poster is to create a more professional mise-en-scène. I've used a typical layout for the names of the actors and actresses, their first name being a smaller font to their last names, as usually their last names is more famously recognised than their firsts. This helps create star appeal within my poster. Again, I stuck by the house style between all 3 of my products on my poster. This again helps to create a massively clear link between all 3. To stick by conventions, again, I had the title as the biggest typeface on the poster. I used a basic sans serif bold font for my title, as this will draw the audience's eyes to it. I used a drop shadow effect on this, again to help it stand out from the lighter background. This will hopefully create a more memorable effect for my audience of my poster, as it creates a clear link between the poster, magazine and trailer, while creating a more sustainable house style between all 3. My tagline also conforms to these conventions. I've used a basic sans serif font for this, while using 2 different colours. I've used the red colour on deadly. This creates more enigma for the audience, as they don't know what secrets can be deadly. I have also stuck by these conventions by having this just under my title, as this links the title of the film and the tagline together to create a more enigmating look. For my main task, my trailer conformed to many codes and conventions that my audience would be expecting. My trailer itself is 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. As I found in my research, 2 minutes 30 is a very conventional length for a film trailer. My narrative itself develops some of these conventions, because in a lot of thrillers, the woman is usually the victim, where in mine, the narrative tells that Emily is actually the protagonist. This has been done before in some psychological thrillers, for example Gone Girl. I did some initial research into this film before I started planning. The male is the victim in this film, but he is still the protagonist. I believe that my audience will be able to understand my storyline very clearly, since some of these techniques have been used in past films and trailers. I wanted to make sure that the audience formed an allegiance with Emily. I decided that the easiest way to do this was starting from Emily's childhood. I used a few shots of her and her twin playing together as kids, with a voiceover of their mum praising the other child. ending with Emily going off in a tantrum. To link the two ages of Emily together, I used a sound bridge going from when Emily was younger to the first scene with Emily's face talking to Tom on it. This made it clear to the audience who the first two little girls were. I also, at the end, I used a montage effect of many shots. I wanted the audience to feel like they were getting into Emily's head. I started this montage off by having a close-up of Emily's mouth saying, "I didn't do anything." I then cut away to Emily looking stressed out. I then had a variety of many different short clips with Emily and her boyfriend. I put an effect over them all called old film. This made it clear to the audience that these shots were all in the past. This is something that a lot of trailers use. Conventionally, in the editing process, trailers use many different effects on their footage to get their clear point across to the audience. In this montage of clips, I used an array of different layers and sounds, including some short stingers, some vocals, one long stinger, sound effects, some diegetic breathing, and some dramatic build-up sounds which creates enigma. And at the end, a diegetic scream which I've then added an effect over it. I've used the sound of a music box at the start and the end of the trailer. I used this as a sound motif for Emily as a little girl. This music box was only played when Emily was on the screen. This also creates the juxtapositioning of the innocence of the start of the trailer with the horror to come down the line. The binary opposition is a theory from Levi Strauss, which I've used a lot within my trailer, within the dark side and the good side of Emily. At the end of my trailer, I've used a psychopathic laugh as a stinger, just after we see Emily as a child on the screen. This creates a climax at the end of my trailer, as I would like it to stick in the audience's head and to create a more thrilling mise-en-scène. I used a variety of different props, which are quite conventional for the thriller genre. There is nearly always a murder weapon, which was my breeze block in my trailer. I also used some props for the policemen. They had papers with handprints on and notepads to get as much down as they could. I also made sure that all the actors were wearing the best costumes. Emily and Tom and their friends had to be wearing middle-class clothing. I wanted to make it look like they were just wearing their everyday things most of the time. But I wanted the policemen to look much more sophisticated and looked like they were in their right police outfit. I had them wear white shirts and black bottoms, with the main policeman wearing the policeman's hat. Within my research, I found out that a lot of thrillers used a lot of crime scene props within their trailers, which helps get the genre across. To help me get the characterization of the two main characters up, I looked at Vladimir Prop's character types theory. Both the hero and the villain roles were taken about by the female protagonist, Emily. This has been used in the past in some thrillers, for example, Stepfather. But my damsel in distress does not stick by the stereotypical conventions. As for Tom was the victim within my trailer, which shows some of the ways that I challenge some of the conventions of the normal thriller genre. I decided to have my release date within the November time, as this is when I believe that my audience is more likely to come and see the film, as summer is over and they will no longer want to be outside in the cold air. I used many different effects within my whole trailer, but the one that I used the most was the low-key lighting and high-key lighting. I used low-key lighting on Emily when she was in her psycho side, for example when she was a little kid, when she's at the party and when she's going to kill Tom. Also at the end when we see the little girl Emily again brushing the doll's hair. This is developing the thrilling mise-en-scène of my trailer. I then used high-key lighting when Emily was in her normal stage. This was when she was having a meltdown in front of the police officer. I wanted to create the effect that she had not known that she had done it herself. And this was the turning point where she was realising that it is her, she's the baddie. Overall, I believe that through all three of my products, there is a clear link between all three, and I've all used, developed and challenged conventions between all three of them. I believe that they have all been very successful